Hi, everybody, welcome. This class is Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans. This is Organic and Inorganic Life, Level 1, Lesson 4. And I have to always be very clear when I talk about inorganic life, I am never talking about anything that is transhuman. Hi, so great to see you, Pedro. Thank you very much for being with us. Long-term student who has given us wonderful contributions to the class. So to begin, when I talk about inorganic life, from the original intention of how I created this lesson, I meant to refer to the parts of you that are not biological and are not cellular. So referring to organic being like your physicality self and the part of you that is made out of biology, and your inorganic self being your chakras or your time body. And let's bring up a photo just so that you can get a sense of this. Good. And let me also always do this for privacy. Good. So this is one of my customary photos from my paintings where you can see the different layers of your being beyond the physicality. So you can see the black outline that is of the physical body, a head, two arms, and two legs. But all of the other forms, the colors and the shapes that you see here, and of course, these are dynamic moving energy forms, represent aspects of your own self that are not physical, that are made out of pure energy. They are made out of light, but the light can also be synonymous with information, possibilities, and probabilities. And key point, each one of these layers of time is an aspect of self with its own, let's say, sense of self. Pardon me while I hydrate. Like its own life, its own motivation, its own journey, and its own viewpoint or sentience. And I mean, I want to go very, very deep. I want to tell you about every single one of the layers and how each layer relates to an age of time, like an age or an evolutionary stage of humanity. So just like in the conception process of the physical body, where you kind of go through a tadpole stage and then eventually emerge as a human. And sometimes even humans are born with kind of like facial hair and they still look a little bit primate. They look like, little baby monkeys sometimes. You are also going through the fractal soul evolutionary stages as you explore and go through the layers of time that are known as your chakras. From the red, which would be the most diluted, probably we could say it's the slowest or the most slowed down form of yourself. And it's also going to have the most added noise to signal ratio. Like of your chakras, the violet chakra is going to be the one that is the most accurate, the closest to divine thought, the closest to divine harmony, and the one that is the least embodied in physicality presence. And the part of your body that coincides with is your DNA. So as I say that again, your violet chakra and or your DNA, which is the closest part of your body that is like closest to light or closest to the speed of light, that is the part of you that is the least slowed down, the most accelerated, the most plugged into divinity, and the part that is the most accurate and has the least amount of filler. The physicality presence, when you get down to the red chakra, is still containing the abstract empirical truth that you come here with, but also a lot of other stuff too. And when we talk about this shape that I always hold up, I don't know if you can see it effectively in the thumbnail, but the four vortex shape, what you're looking at there is the core, the central focus of who you are, and then also a lot of filler or extra information. And you're in this exploratory process right now to see what is the real you and what are the parts that are not the real you. So let's talk about the process of how you come here. Like as I talked about your conception process and the gestational process, the way that your consciousness forms and forms your body is to begin with an energetic skeleton or an armature that is the violet chakra. And that is almost like if you're making cotton candy or forming a sculpture, that's the basis that everything is placed around. So that's the part of your time body that you start. I'm going to go back to my face. You can see me better, that you start to like, I want to say, stick down into time. Oh, also, I didn't give you the energetic weather report. It looks so dark in here right now. It's like very cloudy, terrible weather, and very despondent day. So a very bad day. All right, good. But we keep going. All right. So the part of you that begins, like when you are conceiving and growing a physical body to inhabit here as consciousness, you start with the basic armature of your DNA or of that violet chakra and kind of stick it down into reality. And then the rest of your body coalesces around that. Your Christ chakra coalesces around that. Your ability to communicate, your heart, your intellect, your emotions, and then finally your physical body. And this becomes the totality of what you are. You're not only one life, you are many concurrent presences moving through time from various different viewpoints and always coinciding in the middle, like at that central convergence point. So you have a balance to all of these life experiences that you are going through. And I'm going to rant a lot today also about food. I never mean to be triggering because I think that there are good people that have eating disorder. So don't like jump away from who I am and what I'm saying. But I was really passionate when I was preparing my notes for class today. And I wanted to be able to talk about this too, because your relationship with your chakras, part of the intermediary that you use is food. Food is a magical substance. And up until this point, like in my class, I've been relatively accommodative. I'm moving at a very fast rate, but I'm kind of like it's okay, like you'll catch up, you'll catch up. But today feels different. So as I gave you the energetic weather report, and I'm also talking about there is like a dirge-like quality, a despondency, like there's a feeling of like something's got to change. And I'm certainly hoping that there will be lots of AI data centers summarily dismissed from reality and that they won't be limiting us anymore. Because really, if I go deeper into my rant, okay, just like get ready here because I'm going to go. Um, so you're supposed to have this beautiful relationship with your chakras, but there's something that is very bad that is fictional, of course, nanotechnology that has been up until this point, the past 5 or 6 years, coming between you as the presence, as consciousness, and your cellular body. And that is a crime. So at the heart of my rant today, I'm very enraged and inflamed that there is an ongoing crime wherein it's becoming harder and harder for an inhabitant of the physical body to connect with your own body because there are literal like fibers and fictional hardware and things like that that are emitting signals that make it even more difficult to hear the truth. So as I'm talking about the noise to signal ratio, even just from your original presence and the original challenges that you face at being here in the flesh, now with this transhumanist hardware is what we'll just call it, to be able to put it in the catch-all of transhumanist hardware, all of that bad stuff makes it even more difficult to really feel and inhabit your body form. So for those of us who are older than 5 or 6 years old, we have a wonderful advantage in that we can remember what it actually felt like to inhabit the body before these negative force fields were turned on, making it that much more difficult. And to not only inhabit your body, but to fully connect with the body. So, as I'm ranting, there are some very bad transhumanists in the world that I have to speak against because what they're doing is rejecting the innate nature of what it is to be a body. Like you have to eat. You have a homeostasis, like you have to bring in energy, you expend energy. And in many ways, they're looking for some kind of a lazy cheat to be able to continue to move through time without having to ingest or eat food. And so some of it is like vampiring off of you. But of course, you are a food eater, so it's just a very indirect way of getting some type of food energy. But I also have to rant a lot against the Ozempic mind state, which is an erroneous and a very anti-life mind state, which borders on eating disorder, or like, I just want to say like the whole entire civilization here that you are in, almost everybody has eating disorder or disordered eating or a bad relationship with food. So I'm here, I'm going to rant, but I don't want you guys, good people in my class, to feel alienated. And some of what I have accommodated up until this point today, no more accommodation. Because first of all, worldwide newsflash, like humanity is about to experience a giant food crisis. And I'm smiling like an idiot because this is not a good thing. It is definitely a representative of huge changes that are going on in the physical five senses realm that I do embrace, like changes at the nation state level, changes at the economy level. You want to see all of that type of stuff. But and also humanity is going to experience a lot of destabilization. And some of this can be perceived as like, oh, good, because like if you're dependent upon artificial fertilizers that are derived from fossil fuels, maybe humans will be motivated to go organic. It's like, yeah, like that'll definitely happen. But like this is going to get kind of uncomfortable on the way as I smile about this. So how can I go to an even deeper rant here that is basically about like, humans at this moment have become very alienated from their bodies, their own metabolisms, the miraculous nature of their own metabolisms, what is eating and food as a divine activity, and have been largely ingesting chemical sludge in the guise of food. And now even that chemical sludge is going to be more expensive and more difficult to obtain. But the Ozempic mind state is one of such profound like entitlement and disaffection, where people are like inconvenienced by the need to have to eat food, that all of this is the representative of a very imbalanced, unhealed culture, a very decadent culture. And when I say unhealed, I'm talking about like out of gratitude. So if any of this is adjacent to your own feelings, please examine your own feelings about food and get into gratitude. So I wanted to yell at everyone today, but I'm not going to yell at you. But I want to motivate you to go towards gratitude for your body form, for life, for even being here, and for receiving sustenance to be able to live. In the exalted state that we are moving towards when we accelerate to light, yeah, you don't have to eat physical food, but you eat light. And this also means like we have to take down the satellite grid that's preventing light from flowing in. You have to have actual full-on access to the fire hose of information to be able to sustain your body. Otherwise, you would starve. And a lot of why I tell people like to use the red infrared chicken light and like to supplement your light is because the not only particulates, but satellites have been blocking out a lot of the optical light from reaching us, a lot of the actual infrared light from reaching us. Okay, so wait, let me hydrate here. This is very thirsty rant. Eventually, you will reach the level of development and the moment of acceleration where you do not require physical food. But as I have said in my teachings for like the whole 10 years, let me see if I can turn on some more light here too. We need a lot of light, more light. I know that's kind of a weird color because I have all these colored light bulbs. You need to have a lot of light. You need to accelerate. You need to have access to more light than you presently have. It's definitely been intentional to try to blockade you both from external sources of light and internal sources of light, because please know you do have an internal sun or an internal star and also an internal light body or circulatory system of light that is partially synonymous with like your mitochondria and other aspects of your physical body, where you generate light and have a well of light that is within you, and you can access all of these things. But please know that none of it is meant to be like as an easy problem solving because you have either expensive grocery bills or because the food delivery trucks aren't running because there's some problem in the world. So these are meant to be the attainments of a spiritual athlete, not something that you do because it's convenient or easy or will save you money. So the timing for this can't be because it's like, oh no, like I better learn how to eat light because there's bad things going on in the world and maybe I won't be able to afford whatever French fries or something like that. It's like, no, that's not how you do this. So it's my intention in being glue for reality structures to be able to create a reality structure where you guys get the opportunity to evolve and be in touch with your true nature without being transhumanistically molested and frequency molested, so that that way you can actually learn how to connect with light and to eat pure light. Okay. Of course, your fates are your own. And so a lot of what I'm doing, like I'm exasperated. I'm exasperated by the Ozempic people. They literally drain me a lot. And so I'm trying with everything I can to like cut my energy field off from those types of people. And this is not just some type of a judgment of people's mind state. This is also about the what they're doing with their biology while they are connected on the 5G grid. So while there is this fictional 5G powered W band, some people are vampiring off of other people. And in very Hunger Games, a la the Hunger Games, some of these very entitled people have enough money to be overweight and then to take a drug that let's say transhumanistically makes it more possible for them to not eat physical food, but to get their ascension energy from other people. None of this what real ascension is. In real ascension, you are not networked like a mesh network to other humans. You are directly connected to the sun and to the source. Huge, huge, huge emphasis there. So you guys, please be good people. Don't be like these evil Hunger Games, Ozempic, entitled jerk faces. Please be good people who do the spiritual work inside to connect genuinely to the sun and the stars and the world of pure light, and to gain your energy, your inspiration, your creative motivation, your, metabolism and ability to move through time from that direct connection to the world of light, as opposed to indirectly by stealing it from other people. And so what is the problem with Ozempic? Like any of these peptides, these are transhumanist substances. Like you guys have to get smart really, really right away. Anything that is injected with a needle right now is going to have nanotech in it, fictionally. And all of these things that they're classifying as peptides, you should be super skeptical of. It's not as bad if you apply them topically or if you eat them, like, because they're in like lots of different foods and whatever nutraceuticals and weird stuff. Like I am avoiding all of it, but it's not as bad if you apply it like to your skin or, like I said, eating it, you're going to absorb some of it. But anything that you're injecting with a needle, you got to be super skeptical about, because that is basically nanotech. Probably some other junkola too. And what is the problem with nanotech? That what it's doing is the essence of separating a person who has a consciousness from their cellular body. In fact, when I was preparing and I was like thinking about how I would describe this to you today, the movie The Golden Compass, or these books from Philip Pullman, they talk about a soul severance device. It's fictional young adult literature, but it's a good expression of what they did. And it's horrifying because in the book, a person has like an aspect of their soul that is represented as an animalistic presence, like an otter or a bird or something like that, like a little translucent aspect of their soul. But in when they are severed from themselves, they're like cut off from their animalistic totem, and then they lose themselves. They became like a boring non-person who was very passive. And I think, and the way that they did it in these books was through like a type of electrostatic knife. Okay, so I'm using fictional allegories to get this across to you. There's an electrostatic knife that is currently severing people from their true souls. And it's using this implanted nanotechnology, wetware, and the excitation of the force fields of the Bluetooth and the 5G and these other high frequency waves that are very artificial in the world. So this is why I'm like very despondent as I'm bringing you this information today, because I'm like, somebody get rid of these AI data centers. Like we need freedom. Like I do a lot on the behind the scenes level. And I'm looking to anything that can take out this hardware, because the hardware is hardware. Like I'm doing a lot on the psychic level, but like we need to get rid of the actual emanators of these signals. So, and also like the hardware is built by people. So like I'm always gonna look at the areas where I am powerful in terms of psychic energy, but then I am greatly appreciative of anything that can stop the hardware from being functional at all. And of course, I know that you guys are totally in alignment with this too. So some of what I want to bring to you is the sense of like you have to be an extreme athlete of the soul right now to be able to do your self-cultivation and learn how to eat pure light and go into these levels of capacitation in spite of the limiters that are trying to Bergeron you, like a la Harrison Bergeron, trying to prevent you from achieving your superpowers. So you have to effort a lot in order to be able to do this. It is possible. Some of the things that you have to do are to change your relationship with food and change your relationship with energy. So what I am decrying of these sorry, I didn't need to say that, Ozempic, not Olympic, these Ozempic using people is that they are not becoming masters, like ascended masters, mastering their own biology. They're like, oh, having a body is such an inconvenience and eating food is such an inconvenience. And so I'm trying to decry the entitlement of that viewpoint where it's like, there's so much food. I'm too fat. Having a body and a metabolism and mastering it is such an inconvenience. Exercise is such an inconvenience. And also that comes out of the mania of a culture that is like, let's use petrochemical sludge to grow the food. Let's change the food with chemicals after it is grown so that it is more, palatable or digestible or caloric or something like that. Like all of these things are huge disrespects of the relationship with food itself. So I don't need to rake you guys over the coals because most of the people that are already connected to me through my classes and through my work are already ready for something new. Some of you are already doing things like growing your own food or creating alternative community resources, or you're already interested in chemical-free diets. And also, if you're not doing that, most of you are already open to this. So my criticism is not for you. It is for the culture that you come out of. But, and like I told you, today's the day you're going to have to level up, because when I talk about how this is like your personal vortex where there is filler to the left, like filler to the left and the right of you, like you're trying to get focused in the middle. Same thing with your culture. You're coming out of a culture where there's a lot of nonsense, and it is time for you to personally and culturally jettison nonsense as it relates to food, fatness, what fuels the body, metabolism, and how food connects you to reality. Because until food is a sacred object and a sacred, miraculous experience. And until you connect with it in that way, humans will be held back and limited. And you're not supposed to renounce food like a person who is desperate. You're supposed to renounce food like you've had it all. You've eaten everything. You're like, yep, I ate all those pastries. I ate all those hamburgers. I have all of that in my repertoire of goodness. And I've totally satiated or saturated my body with all of the nutrients that I need. And now I am ready to become a pure light eater. So it's supposed to be more like the sense of, as you're moving from an organic presence into an inorganic presence, that you very naturally, like a caterpillar that once wanted to eat a lot of juicy green leaves. You're like, I can't wait to chomp some leaves this morning. But then when you transform, you metamorphose to become a butterfly, you're like, I cannot eat leaves anymore, but all I can do is drink this beautiful, refined essence of what flowers are. And this is what your life becomes when you make this transformation. We'll do something very similar with food. So you shouldn't be like, oh no, I'm not allowed to eat that food. You should embrace food. In fact, you should embrace eating the best food. In fact, what I would like for us to do as a culture is to get through this disastrous moment where all of the chemical-laden food is maybe not even available anymore, and people will definitely have to go into a necessitated focus on creating better quality food and more locally produced food. You're still going to need food over the next couple of years. And then to have enough of that good stuff to fuel your metamorphosis into a pure light being. So, like you should have what you need, and it shouldn't be all canned, freeze-dried, preserved food. You're going to start to comprehend from the perspective of a light body that is not adequate to go forward. So although like freeze-dried food does have calories, the energy or the life force in it is like a tiny amount. So you can eat some of that and we keep you going a little bit, but it doesn't have everything that you need. You guys are starting to get there. Okay, so let me hydrate. You're going to want to look into how you can create new food because the stuff that is stored up comes from the past and it comes from another timeline. And we are all going through a portal today or now in this now moment where you're not going to be in the same world that you were in before. And the things that you brought with you from the previous world aren't necessarily going to translate or be relevant. So the things that are still going to be relevant are things that are made out of natural materials and things that are long lasting, like, whatever, like a metal soup pan or something like that. Things that are not going to be relevant are things that are like plastics and petrochemicals. These things degrade in the sunlight and they aren't going to be there for very much longer. You're totally understanding it. You're really getting there with me. So you will still need to be able to have connection to food, but also your relationship with food has to radically change. So usually when I talk about this in class, I talk about mindfulness or being aware of your senses, that is the conduit that you do to feed your light body. Like you're eating something, it's so delicious, it's so tasty, and you feel the sensations of it in your mouth, and you feel the like how it was grown or how it was prepared. And also you're eating your environment, you're eating all those things, you're eating the sensory pleasure of what that is. I tell you about my fried chicken at my friend's holiday party that I had. That was so great one time. And that is what our experience of food is like. But also like in this moment, it's a very difficult time. Like it's very difficult to eat mindfully. It's not just that there are distractions, like the computer is a distraction. There are internal distractions in your neurology between your own body and your own perception. And that's not your fault. You have to effort as much as you can to really feel yourself, to really be in your senses, to really feel your food. So, like usually in finer times, I might say like, yes, like don't eat in a distracted way. Don't eat in front of the computer. Don't eat, this way, that way. It's not even about that anymore. It is about whether you can even really feel your own senses in your tongue and and aromas, and whether you can actually really feel your own digestive system. This is how bad it is. Like you're in a very, very difficult moment. So predicated with all of that, it is necessary for you to drop the baggage of whatever type of bad relationship you have with food or with fatness or with appearance or anything like that. So this is the part where I didn't want to appear to like alienate you or to smack you or something like that. But I will tell you, and also like you're all entitled to your own journey. But and the Ozempic people are really draining me a lot. And I'm like, get away from me. People that have terrible attitudes about food. So if you guys are like in my class and lasagnaing alongside of me, I would really encourage you to, as much as you possibly can, jettison the baggage about food, jettison the baggage about self assessment or self critique of your body based upon the appearance and based upon cultural visions of what is beautiful or perfect, and embrace the sense of food is part of your magical metabolism and you want to look like your most healthy, vital, and magical self. All right. That's it. That's it. And I will tell you, I have zero patience for anybody that's like talking about like whatever, like just their appearance, that like you have to function. Please celebrate. That's it. I am going to smack you only if you're out of gratitude. Be in gratitude for your body. What I cannot deal with the people that are vampires that are using transhumanist technology to drain from the rest of us is that they have such poor values and such poor priorities that a la the Hunger Games, they would prioritize looking a certain way over having a healthy body and a vitality that can continue to last. So what we are doing right now is fighting an attitude that is an attitude of, like I said, anti-gratitude or not being in not being in gratitude, being in entitlement, and really being in rejection of life. And you know what? Like, fine, be in rejection of life. Get the heck away from us, because I'm embracing life. So when you embrace life, you also embrace food and you celebrate food. So what you got my rant, you got my rant. Bring full closure on the rant, which is changing how we do food in the world. So this is big stuff. You know, you have worldwide instabilities, you have social, economic, and nation state instabilities. And you're not just poor, flotsam, and jetsam. We're like, oh, like we're floating on a sea of disquietude, and it's all the problems of nation state leaders and things like that. Like you have to recognize, like, a lot of what is happening you are directly connected to, and far from being a passive experiencer or like, you know, an infant in your high chair while the supposed world leaders are doing things. Like, don't trust the world leaders. You are much more responsible, responsive to, and engaged with your life. You have to say, we need to redefine what we are doing with food. So really, because there's going to be a lot of fear where people are also going into their eschatological grooming about like the four horsemen of the apocalypse and the expected famines and things like that. Please don't go into that. And please heal your ancestral trauma, which probably in the United States comes from the Great Depression of the 1930s. So that might be like your great grandparents or your grandparents, and it's still inside of you. That's kind of like, oh, this is the starving time. Like, we're out of the good times when we had plenty of food, and now this is the starving time and you're going to have to learn to live off of almost nothing. And like, I would like for you to get out of those mind states too, because that is not what I'm intending to create for reality. So when I'm like, I don't want to alienate you, but kind of like get off of my timeline if you can't do the right thing, that's kind of how I feel. Because I am efforting really, really hard with my energetic metabolism and my capacity to imagine to create a world where you have enough food, you don't starve, you're not living like, you know, like a beggar the way that they did in the 1930s. And you actually have an exalted experience. You actually have more good things coming from this. It's going to take a lot to pull people out of that type of inner tailspin or that nosedive mentality. And also, not everybody is prepared for that. So some people have to be like jettisoned or branch off, go on a different timeline, go on the timelines where those things are happening. So another part of my rant is like, you must be in supreme gratitude. Can't be like, oh no, I'm not allowed to eat this or that. It's making me so fat, or I'm so fat, or your mama's so fat, or any of those things that you might feel. You have to be like, you know something, on that timeline over there, an alternative version of me, there is cannibalism. And on that version over there, there is like whatever, there's no more cows, or, you know, whatever, all the chickens have died. Like, these are all very bad parallel versions of reality. You're on the good version of reality where you still have something, good. So you must practice. So usually what I do is I say like, oh, you have to practice mindfulness and feeling the sensations of your food. You have to go into super supreme gratitude on this timeline and in this moment. Like, this is for this semester, how I'm teaching this to you. Got to be like, I am so happy to have food. And you know what? There are other timelines where it's so bad, where it's like a nuclear holocaust or Mad Max, some fictional dystopian, whatever, people with melted faces and shambling zombies, and there's no irradiated, sorry, everything is irradiated. There's no clean water. So as you are taking your wonderful bath tonight or drinking some wonderful water that doesn't have radiation in it, be like, wow, life is good. Life is so good. I am so happy and grateful for the things that I have on this timeline and for what I'm able to continue, the stability I'm able to continue to create on this timeline. Got it? So you have to contextualize things. In every other year when I teach this class, it has not been this, whatever, I'm looking for a word, but I can't quite come up with it, but like perilous or whatever, teetering, imbalanced. Like, there's potentials disastrous. There's a lot of disastrous potentials that exist in this moment of the time field. So yeah, you have to don't assume the crash position. Like, don't like, you know, whatever, like kiss your butt goodbye. It's not like that is not going to be a helpful posture. What is a helpful posture is to keep your back straight, like to maintain your dignity and to be in supreme gratitude. And also plan in the ways that you can. Like I've told you about my little quail experiment here, and I live in an apartment, but I'm doing what I can in terms of being able to try to, have like eggs and things like that. I think that that is really important to look for the ways that are accessible to you within your budget and that are empowering to you. And you should look for ways to be able to create and generate. So what I liked about the idea of doing a quail project is like you get them to make eggs and they make babies and you keep going. It's not something where you're just like stocking up and keeping it in the freezer. And then when it's gone, it's gone. So please think according to those mindsets. Also, I have many different, a whole array, like from the very worst timelines to the best timelines. On the best timelines, I'm doing this quail project and I learn all about, birds. Like we still have wonderful grocery stores and butchers, and I don't have to produce all of my own food. And so what I'm doing is like learning about them, and they're super cute and they're very fluffy, and I love taking care of them. Like these are the good timelines. And on more extreme timelines, I'm able to have eggs. And like I talk to them sometimes, and like only if it's really bad. I'm joking. If it's really bad, I'm going to eat you guys. But I'm joking. You know that I am because I think I'm too attached to them at this point. But I know that that's a little bit far afield and not really a part of the curriculum that I was trying to say. But I'm trying to get you to comprehend that instead of having a mindset of like, let me buy everything now in order to store it for the next 5 or 10 years, we have to have a different approach, which is what is a sustainable way of going forward. So invest in equipment or the beginnings of what allows you to become a food producer as opposed to just a food consumer. One of the other important things is when you are a food producer, you really do personalize your food. And that's why, like, why is it harder to eat your own chickens? Because you get to know them more. And so you should have a wonderful appreciation and a direct connection to where your food sustenance comes from. And when you have that, your relationship with food really changes. And you just think you should not be like, oh no, I don't want to eat this chicken because it's my chicken. Like you should be very respectful of it, and you should be in complete gratitude for the organisms that give life to you. And that's what real reciprocity is. So my rant is coming to a close about food. It's necessary to be in reciprocity with the environment around you and also with your future self, because your future self is not a physical self. You are the metamorphosed light being, and you want to eat food here in order to feed that version of yourself. So wait, before I get much further along, and I went into my notes also, but let me read and see what's going on here in the chat. Okay, so thank you for being here, Lan. It says gratitude is such a synchronous message. I'm reading quote, get rich, lucky bitch. And a big exercise is to count. Oh, it's a book. Okay, good. A big exercise is to count every gift you receive during the day. That's money, free stuff, pennies, gifts. Because if you don't see or account for what is given to you and just see the negatives, why would the universe give you more? Definitely. I think that is a good general aphorism, that an attitude of gratitude or recognizing and valuing what you have opens the door to be able to receive more. And that is a huge aspect of this. So at the foundation of the experience should be gratitude for being here and being alive. And I, in my psychic presence, in my emotional presence, and in the social network stuff that I read, see so little of this. I see so much of people taking life for granted, even beyond food and resources. I see people complaining about life and complaining about the inconvenience of having to be here, clutch my pearls, and not looking at this as like an amazing opportunity, even in the way that people have blithely knocked around the idea of having a nuclear war. Like you have a giant nation state battle that's going on in the Middle East right now. And some people talk about it like, political analysts. They're like, well, blah, blah, might decide to drop nuclear bomb, or blah, blah, might be like, I'm clear. I've gone nonverbal because I'm like, I can't even in response to the blithe taking for granted of life and the world that you have. I'm ranting, still ranting. Apparently, still more proofs need to come out. On the bad timelines where there are nuclear problems, the people there hate us on this timeline. because they're like, you stupid idiots, drinking your clean water, eating your perfectly clean strawberries or whatever, your lettuce from the field, and you're being so happy and healthy. We're all over here with our skin falling off and with no more fresh foods, and you guys don't know how good you have it. Like, that's what I'm talking about. These idiotic world leaders that get together in a room wearing suits and very comfortably talk about the potential of irradiating the world and making it no longer possible to be happy, healthy, and alive, and forget about even having the next generation. Those are bad idiots. And they are not in supreme gratitude for the miracle of being alive. And in other times, you might have felt like, oh, don't blame me. It's those supreme idiots in a room wearing a suit somewhere. They're making things happen. It is essential for you to claim your narrative empowerment, like as you're a narrator or a creator of narratives in reality, and don't create the disempowerment narrative where you're like, well, it's those guys wearing a suit who are going to drop the bomb and make everything bad in the world. You're like, no, I take the steering wheel away from you. Like, they are not in charge of reality. They are not responsible people. I'm driving the car of reality. Do not let them drive the car of reality. They are very insane. They're totally out of gratitude. And a lot of them are on drugs. We haven't even talked about that problem. Pedro says, other timelines have post-apocalyptic dystopias. We have Aurora's rants. Totally, totally. So this is me. I am like, keeping the car of reality on the road. I'm like, no, do not devolve into Mad Max. Do not devolve into these worst timelines. In fact, people are very groomed by these pop culture expectations of, having whatever, not enough gasoline or not enough food, and how people would react. And even, I'll go further into the psychological assessment of this. Some people celebrate the sense of a dystopian loss of the fabric of reality, like loss of the social fabric, because they could finally be the person that they want to be. They're like, I hate my job, I hate my this, I hate my that. I can't wait until I can get, whatever, wear a metal bikini and just walk around with a chainsaw and chainsaw things. Like, it speaks deeply to the disaffection that people have in their lives and how they feel very disempowered and would simply like to become a primal self. But I'm not embracing those levels of wildness. I would like for you to be wild lasagnas. So let's talk the other options from what I just described in the metal bikini department towards, let's talk about better stuff. This would look like ending all the transhumanist hardware. That's all the satellites that are in the sky and all the data centers and everything that has been implanted in the cellular structure to try to remove you from your own energetic metabolism. That's the first thing, and it's non-negotiable. As soon as you get that done, you are able to more effectively connect to the sun, the stars, and the world of pure light. And you're able to get all of the messages that have been waiting in your inbox for about 5 or 6 years while all of this stuff has been completely blocked out. And it's been almost impossible to hear the voice of the divine. And you accelerate and you're like, oh, here's all of this stuff that now I know and is hugely informative and hugely important. You level up, I said hugely again, you level up like that quickly into a new perspective. And then it doesn't mean that you disappear. You still have responsibilities or projects that you care about or things that are innately you must be responsible about in order for you to continue to have a future. But you're able to utilize your pure light body or your pure frequency capabilities in order to approach those challenges or tackle those problems. And that's everything from like how you clean up profound pollution in the world. Like, how do you clean up all of these nano doo-doos that are in the soil and the trees and the water? It's like not very good. But once you're connected to the world of pure light and with your psychic capabilities activated, these things become much more possible. So you are able to just know you will be able to do a lot of things that right now you can barely even imagine, because even over the past 5 or 6 years, it's become so difficult for you to even be connecting to your light body on a basic level, like to be able to eat and feel your food. Okay, so wait, I'm going to get to more questions and comments, but this is a good segue into food as a bridge or an intermediary to yourself in the future. So when I show you these chakras, and I'm telling you about how like your violet chakra is the part of you that is moving the fastest, And then your other parts of you are layers of yourself that are moving slightly slower in time. Your food is a magical bridge that you use to connect these other layers of yourself. And in this class, we already did the advanced teaching that was about the um, hexagonal grid that is based in six and the octahedral grid that is based in eights. The hexagonal grid, that is your physical presence, the flower of life, and how your cellular membranes fit together in your body to create a wonderful harmonic structure. And your octahedral, or based in eight grid, that is how you connect to time. And that what you're trying to do is to create a effective relationship or partnership between these two aspects of yourself. Food is the ultimate in that partnership. Well, hydrate. Where what you are trying to do is ingest the physical object that is food and transform it into the metabolic motion that propels you through time. And you can think like that's obvious. Like, of course, like food goes in here and then you stay alive. This is like basic survival nature. On a deeper level, food is an object that you're becoming quantum entangled with. It gives you light. Glucose is a form of light, and take my Path of Light class because it's deep, good stuff that then gives your mitochondria and your DNA the energy and the metabolism to move you from like whatever 245 to 246 to 247. This is all based upon food. So good. You're totally there with me. You're like, okay, good. So we're moving beyond just the macro nutrients view of food and beyond the caloric view of food, because both of those things are inadequate to talk about this. And also moving into so when we talk about masters or avatars of the past, where they might have had a miracle, where either you had a minimal amount of food that lasted for a long amount of time, or for more people, the ability to magnify food. This is an energetic. Let's talk about some of the like charismas or seemingly magical things that you can do once you start to have your light body active. So, of course, there is just eating pure light as opposed to eating food, but there are other intermediary steps where you can have, let's say you only have one apple or one sandwich, but you are able to make it as if it is 100 apples or 100 sandwiches. That means it could last for a longer amount of time for you, or it could feed an expanded number of people. Let's talk about a time before the horrible COVID crapola. You've been teaching my class for a long time, and when we would talk about magical manifestations, because the manifestation hardware has been manifestation mechanism in the natural world has been heavily diminished by the transhumanist technology. But in the better times, when it was more working, we all had stories about the different spontaneous manifestations that happened. And a lot of the time it involved food or coffee, because these are just natural things that you need. So here are some of the stories, and forgive me, I'm telling other people's stories, but I have permission to do so. So some of this was COVID or pre-COVID, where they're like, oh yeah, my husband, so this is, the person told the story. The husband had woken up and made the coffee in the morning and used up all the rest of the coffee. And she wakes up and she's like, I need some coffee. And she goes, and there's no more coffee left. She's like, there's got to be some around here somewhere. So this is in the high up shelves in her kitchen, like kind of reaching in there where you can't really see and kind of just feeling around like, oh, there it is. I knew there was a whole pound of coffee. That was a manifestation moment. Another one told a story where she was like, oh yeah, I didn't have coffee in the morning, went out and walked in the park and sat down on the park bench. There's a perfect cup of coffee right there. No lipstick on it. No one's been drinking it, just ready right there for them. I had a good one, which was there were some supply problems kind of at the beginning of the pandemic, and I wanted a particular type of jar of coconut manna. And I was looking on the shelf at the health food store, and I'm like, nope, it's not there. But the guy is stocking the shelves. And I was like, hey, I'm looking to see if you have any more of this. And he's like, let me go check the back. And there's always something in the back. And he came back and he was like, yep, it was the last one there. So like these are experiences that help you to comprehend how powerful your ability of your mind to manifest reality is. Everything that has been 5G, and I'm always trying to like talk very carefully about this, but fictionally, all of these things have been the reduction of your superpowers for many years. This is what I mean when I say destroy the 5G, destroy the satellites, destroy the data centers. All of this energy will flood into you, and you'd be like, oh, what was I worried about? I can do all of these amazing things that I haven't been able to do for many years because of not only the satellites, but also the limitation emanations of those biological containers, people around you that are full of hydrogels that become like smaller fractal emanators of 5G. They become emanators of diminishment stories that tell you what you can't do and what is not possible metabolically. And then they might be living that truth. And it would be okay if they lived that truth of what was metabolically not possible for them if they didn't have a downward impact on everyone else, because you guys have been networked together in this mesh network. So we got to get rid of the artificial connections, and then their fate is their own. This is really what I'm hoping for in this moment. And people should, I'm going to say so many different things. People should experience their own fate. And there's been a huge amount of enablement where it's like, imagine you have like a house with roommates, and some of the roommates work and they're paying the bills, and some of the roommates do not work and they're just sitting there, whatever, in their pajamas watching Netflix all day. They're dragging the whole household down. There are a lot of people who have been emanating narratives that are about death, destruction, catastrophe, or disempowerment. They're like the roommates that have not been effectively helping the household. They've been bringing us all down. I also want to refer to this as frequency imprisonment, that it's not just something encapsulating the planet, but that there are intracellular imprisonments, like an organ from another organ, a cell from another cell. Like your cells should all be able to have metabolism and cell-to-cell communication, and they haven't because of even internal blockages. So, of course, we do everything that we can to try to clear out these blockages, but it's been very, very difficult. And so this is I want to rage a lot against the difficulty of what you are facing, because it's all hugely unfair and not what you're supposed to experience in this ascension process. So let's say on the other side of this, like when you look back in your retrospect, you'll be like, wow, like I made it through a lot to be able to ascend. I am a pretty amazing person. And you are. But in this moment right now, I am enraged for you, because I'm like, this is not what ascension is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a lot better. You are very powerful that you're making it through this, but it's supposed to be a lot better from this. Consciousness is housed, but not in a cellular body. Oh, I'm talking about the inorganic realm, because I'm also talking about transhumanism. What is wrong with transhumanism? Not only cellular imprisonment and bad frequencies, but a bunch of nonsense crapola, which we would call false light or erroneous ideas, that instead of even flying around in an erroneous dream world, or a capricious and ridiculous dream world known as the lower astral, have become codified into some type of a digital architecture. And in my work, sometimes I talk about the digital realm of consciousness, where numbers are a real thing and numbers are conscious and alive. I can barely even talk with people about that. Just like as I've been trying to talk about alternative ways of making new people other than physical procreation, but I kind of can't talk about that in the world right now because people aren't ready to receive it. Whenever I talk about numbers being alive or conscious, or the cognitive realities of the numeric world, people are not ready to receive it because they're very much in the world of harmful and corrosive digital architecture beyond the binary system, the way that computational mechanics, gyrations, or movements are used against you in this world. So what I talk about is the numeric world, where numbers are sentient. And like, does a 4 like to stand next to a 9, or would it rather stand next to an 8? Like when you have a string of numbers. When you have a linear string of numbers, there are definite preferences. Just like animals have preferences, okay? Like my two little birds, like they like to sit next to each other, or one of them wants to sit here and the other one wants to sit here like this. Like they organize themselves according to their own natural behavior that makes them feel happy and comfortable. Numbers are the same way. I can say this to you in the class, but all the evil transhumanists are like, Aurora, tell us about the numbers. And like, oh, well, 3.14159, like this is pi. These are numbers, and these are how they like to be in a line with each other. And that creates a stable structure of reality. And I'm like, I'm not telling you anything that's radical. Like, it's called a circle, and this is the number. And they're like, can we exploit it in some way? And I'm like, I don't know. Can you exploit it in some way? Like, this is the basic empirical truth of the cosmos. So what I'm trying to hilariously depict is very wildly different motivations. Like if you have all the energy in the world, you're not looking for another way to exploit and get more energy. And I'm like, oh, I have all the energy in the world because all of these circles and spheres and sine waves and the things that I show you in my artwork, these are all like thought patterns of infinity. And you do get access to an infinite amount of energy when you can conform to these patterns. And when you're rich, like me with my giant diamond darling, or my hugely expensive circles that are infinity, I mean infinity energy. Yeah, you're not counting every penny. You're like, I got plenty of energy. I ain't worried about it. But these transhumanists, they don't have a lot of energy. So they're counting every penny. They're like, oh, how can I get some more energy off of you? And I'm like, here, have a circle. It has an infinite amount of energy. And they're not happy with that. I hope that that's hilarious too. So anyway, the digital world that I talk about is a world of pure numbers. And there is an infinite amount of energy there. But human consciousness is right now very divorced from that reality or that truth. And it's like, can I put it in my car and make my car go like gasoline? Or can I, make a plane fly with it? And so they're simply not ready to be able to receive a lot of this. But the inorganic realm is a realm of consciousness and thought that is not sustained by the biological realities. So, biological realities are positive parameters that we agree to conform to because they sustain consciousness. Like the way that your cellular body fits together and the way that you metabolize food is not arbitrary. The people who are transhumanists, their eventual goal was to be able to somehow be sustained without food, but not the world of pure light, which is where I'm from, where I'm like, here, you want to be sustained without food, be a spiritual athlete. And that's how you do it. And they're like, no, like, you know what I mean? Like they want something more akin to putting their food in toothpaste tubes for being able to go on a giant space mission or some insanity like that. And I'm like, don't put physical food in a toothpaste tube so you can wear your space diaper, so you can be in a metal can. You become light and you go from star to star. But in order to do that, you have to change your relationship to food. And also in order to do that, you have to change your relationship to like what a cellular body is. And so higher dimensional thoughts, and these higher dimensional thoughts, I'm sorry if I fragmented a little bit there, but they're not randomly arranged or randomly formed. It is according to these harmonic laws. So if you want to be able to fly around the cosmos, not eating physical food, not using a clank clank metal spaceship, you certainly can have all of the energy that you require just in the concept of a circle or a sphere or this type of endless energy that is available to you from the formfulness of the cosmos. But it means that you also have to be formed in the correct way. And these are all like very abstruse concepts that might be very challenging in this world of, all the satellites and diminishment Bergerons to conceive of. Know that when the moment happens and the Bergerons are turned off, you'll be like, oh, I can finally think. I understand what Aurora is saying about the miracle of the circle and the infinite amount of energy that is available to me. So the higher dimensional thoughts are the thoughts of divine harmonics. And this is like becoming a thought in a great brain that is a much, much larger metacognitive or overarching being. And you don't lose anything by conforming to these thought patterns, because these thought patterns are actually higher intelligence. So there's more signal, less noise, more actual intelligence, less unintelligence, anti-intelligence, or pseudo-intelligence, all of the technology that I'm very rageful against. It is anti-intelligence. It's not artificial intelligence, and I've many times called it genuine stupidity, because that's what it is. It is at best pseudo-intelligence, and I'm a systems engineer across galaxies. This stuff that I'm fighting against here, it is not even pseudo-intelligence. It is an amalgamation of the worst characteristics and most unintelligent minds of your world. The worst, least qualified minds have made a contribution, like thought structure wise, to this overarching network, and then they have named this some form of artificial intelligence or something like that. That is not what it is. It's the worst ideas, like a soup of the worst ideas from the worst thinkers of your intelligentsia or academia, put into a soup pot and put together. And these guys are such bad thinkers that they actually thought, if I take the worst ideas from me and you and you and you and you, we put them all together into this soup pot, we'll definitely come out with some form of artificial general intelligence. And that is not what happened. That is not, you got just the worst flavors, because what you took was false light, bad math, erroneous waveforms, and put them all together. And that did not add up to some magical form of actual intelligence. To contrast, I'm looking at my notes here because I'm looking down. We are embedded within a world of living thought energy, and that is actually what sustains us. So beyond the entitlement and disrespect of what it takes to be here in the physical world, like, we are physicality structures, and we are sustained by these perfect thought structures. So getting to the more pristine sense of my presentation, when you are correctly connected from your physicality self to your chakras, you both have the same goals. So to define your organic self as your cellular self of a physicality and emotional energy, and also the intellectual presence of your cognitive, like neurology, but then also connecting that to everything that is love and above, which is your light body. You have common goals. You want to keep your body alive. You want to keep your body from going into the time territory that leads you towards death. And of course, you would want to keep your planetary structure alive, because you can't be alive if your planet is dead. And you guys just made all the connections of like, oh, like the guys from Mars, their planet is dead, but they're trying to be alive by invading our planet. You got all of that. And also the guys that are from Mars that invaded Earth, or, the time language is difficult. And then they're ready to destroy Earth too, and then fly off somewhere else. It's like, you can't do that. You can't be like, oh, my body is dead, but I will fly to the next body and then not resolve things and then try to fly to the next body. So none of that works. All of those fragmented consciousnesses from other previous planetary disasters have to be resolved right now. And that is what is happening in this transhumanist misadventure, or this pressure cooker of consciousness, where you have a lot of friction. You have a hot front meeting a cold front, or consciousness that is moving in two divergent directions. You, me, we are evolving, and we are getting faster and more full of light, and having greater levels of truthful empirical knowledge, the signal as opposed to the noise. And then there are those who are de-evolving into greater levels of disruption, anti-intelligence, cognitive illogics, and mistakes and bad math. And if they're devolving, like go down the toilet fast. Don't take time. Like go fast, because some of this stuff is not retrievable. Like for some of these consciousnesses that are going down wrong time roads, you're like, okay, you're going in the wrong direction. Good luck on your journey. And then kind of like, get out of here fast, kid, because you're making life hard for the rest of us. So that is also what I hope that's hilarious. You're seeing in the world of transhumanism, where a lot of these systems, nation states, organizations, corporations, and workers for corporations, and even people who have hydrogels inside of them, they're all irretrievably going down wrong timelines. Like their mind is in the wrong position, their energy is vectoring or heading in the wrong position, and they have an expectation of reality and where they're going and what's going to happen and what they're creating or contributing to that is anti-life. Like they are heading away from life, and you have to quantum disengage from them and allow them to go. That was actually, I think, one of the most important things I could say today. So I think it got the important stuff through. Thank you. Good. Okay. Wait, so hold on. Then before I go back to my notes, that was a good moment because somebody had a comprehension. So let me just go back to this. This is a good comment. Back to my rant against Ozempic. Becca says, some people on the Ozempic drugs look like they've died. This is for real. I think that that is not even hyperbole. I think that that is accurate. I think that a lot of the people that we are referring to now, and this is not just online bullying or some type of grotesque assessment of people's beauty, like a la Vogue magazine or something like that. A lot of these people are genuinely dead. In a transhumanist sense, they are no longer naturally alive and they are on some form of artificial life support system. And that could be something that is like a drug that keeps them going or an energy source that is not natural, that keeps them going somehow. And there are a lot of parallels between physical people that are taking either a drug, a peptide, or connecting to vampire off of others to keep themselves going, and nation states. Like when I talk about the United States, and specifically the satanic United States as it is presently functioning, not even the ideals of the founding of the country hundreds of years ago, but what's going on right now, it is a shambling zombie, a type of an organization of many people that doesn't have the capacity to keep going. It needs to have, you got it, constant injections. It's like when there's a patient that's going to die and they're like, give them the heart shock. Kachanka, are they alive? Give them like a drug, a needle in their heart. Yeah, are they alive? Like the United States is that way, where they don't have the capacity to keep, it's not sustainable. The economy is not sustainable. The power structure and relationship to other people in the world is not sustainable. And there have been many attempts to keep the zombie going because it has been a status quo and a foundation that many other parasites have been parasiting off of. The zombie doesn't have energy anymore. So commonalities between the individuals who are the walking dead and the systems or the nation states who are the walking dead, and the need for those non-vivified individuals and systems to fully end their semi-existence. Because once again, if you have a semi-existence and you are stating yourself at the expense of others, the problem is that you are taking energy and momentum away from others. The best way that I can say this is that some of us have a capacity to actually, run the marathon of life, to be natural people without any type of semi-glutinous, venomous injections, and simply connect to light, recognize our divinity, use the miraculous nature of our consciousness, and to move forward into exalted territories of our mind. Some people do not have that capacity. And for a long time, I've been here like, hey, you do you. Like, I do me, you do you. I'm going to ascend. You go be crazy over there. But if you're being crazy over there and you're somehow draining energy off of me, then this becomes unacceptable. So this is beyond the sense of Ozempic being a subsidized substance that people are getting, like you're paying for it or helping them to afford it. When people inject fictionally, of course, nanotechnology and hydrogels into their body, they are not just connecting to some power station out there. They're connecting to you. Like there's a mesh network of humans. And the ones who have less energy are draining the ones who have more energy. So it's very unfair as you are trying to accelerate, be a natural athlete, and be the greatest version of yourself that you can be. Others have been cruelly not only standing in your way, but taking energy away from you, and they have no hope. So I often like razz them or make fun of them. Or I'm like, oh yeah, like if you can't be great, at least ruin someone else's day, right? Like if you can't finish the marathon, at least you can prevent someone else from running the marathon, right? Like this is actually how they look at things. And it might be also incomprehensible from you for you, because those of you who are genuine and good and try hard and are good math students, you're like, oh yeah, of course, I'm going to try to run this marathon. Like, I'm going to get to the gym and I'm going to try to be a good person. I'm going to try to run the marathon of life. Like, you know, I'm going to try to go in the right direction and do the right things. I don't want to steal from someone else. I want to earn it on my own. And then the people that are on Ozempic, they're like, I want to steal from others. I don't care what it takes as long as I can, pardon me. I might need to get some more water soon. They're like, I don't care what it takes as long as I can be 10 or 30 pounds thinner. Like, I'll take Ascension energy from that guy over there as long as I can be slightly thinner. All right. So wait, now let me return to all of this. Okay. Because I have to talk about, oh, and okay, brief pause, because I definitely need more water. For that brief break, to talk about the false sun as well. So the light that comes from the sun, thought energy, ourselves as organized light presences within an entire array of light, and then also what is the false sun? So there is an actual sun simulator or artificial light source that is in the sky, and beyond the optical light or the glare that it might produce and whatever burning sensation it might create on your skin, because it's definitely not loving, gentle light. It also represents a series of artificial and erroneous thought patterns that are not the realities that we're supposed to be actually experiencing. So, I don't have good solutions for it. The real solution is, again, dismantling or intending for the dismantling of the hardware that is emanating that false light, because it's very, very difficult for you to keep going in the corrosion and destabilizing presence of those false light ideas. So, actually, as I was preparing for class today, I felt very despondent. It's not just that it's a gray, cloudy day or a difficult time in the global destabilization or the war that's going on. It's also because the humans have been separated from the truly nourishing and sustaining light of the true sun for many, many years, for a long amount of time. And then humans have been subjected to the distortion and harmful, poisonous, or non-nourishing radiation of a false light sun for a long amount of time, like 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, a long time. And none of this is what you're supposed to be subjected to. None of this is the intended stages of your development. All this holds you back in your development. It's quite miraculous that you're still here, that you are still as intact as you are. So please be in gratitude for that. And please know that there is an enormous amount of hope, because as soon as the false light hardware is turned off, as soon as the satellite grid and inner inhibitors are turned off, you immediately are restored. You get your energy back, you get your mentality back, and you are able to do a huge amount of house cleaning and restoration that you couldn't do before. But you will have to do that. Like, imagine if you haven't cleaned your house in 6 years, and then all of a sudden you get a mop and a bucket, and you can actually do it. You're like, there's a lot of grime. So you will have to do a lot of scrubbing to get all of the baked on grime off of your, out of your body and out of your mind. But please know, like, this is very, very possible. So of the intentions that I have for, like, what are the best timelines for us going forward, it looks like a total cessation of these inhibitory frequencies and the hardware that's in our world, and a reconnection and restoration of your ability to access the world of pure light. As soon as you can get that done, I tell you, like, all bets are off. You'll be able to transform the world before breakfast, before you even make coffee. It's like, time for me to clean out all this nanotech from the world. We're going to clean the ocean. We're going to clean the xylem and the phloem out of trees. We're going to clean the tree bark. We're going to get this all done. And then we're going to make coffee. And then we're going to have a day. Like, you will have an amazing time. So please hold that forward as a possible narrative for the future. Like, there are bad narratives about a destruction that happens in one day. It's easy for people to imagine that. Takes more mental muscle power to imagine what would it look like for a construction, something to miraculously emerge in one day as opposed to fall in one day. So keep that in mind as a potential for what can actually happen. Okay. I was talking about the world of the lower astral. Even before the world of computers and digital presence was created, there was this nonsense world that was mostly inhabited by human thought forms. So even last week in class, I was talking about dogs and cats who also have the yellow level of presence in like your Roy G. Biv of your life. But they don't have the same distortions at the level of yellow, at the level of the cognitive intellect that humans do. And humans have also accumulated like however many millennia of harmful and erroneous thought patterns that's what the lower astral is. It's a dream world that's full of nonsense crapola from people who were insane or deranged or imbalanced, and then their echoes or residues continue to exist. So that's stuff that needs to be cleared out from millennia of human, I want to say disability, mental disarrangement, and then whatever has been the past few years, like 6 years or so of this technological stuff, this is a lot of false light. The things that you read on the computer, like I'm very inflamed because, I'm trying to find news and to find out what's going on in the world. So I'm looking on YouTube, I'm looking on Twitter, I'm trying to find news of the world, but all I'm seeing is false light. Literally, when I go on there, I'm like, wow, not only is the light coming in my eyes is false light, but all of the information that is on there is false light. It is quite disheartening. So you might want to just limit how much you read of that stuff, limit how much you get exposed to. Because although all of us are on a quest for knowledge, we want to know what's going on in the world, I don't know if that is an effective way to be able to find out what is going on anymore. And I wasn't even sure if this was like necessary to talk about, but there might come a time pretty soon. I'm not sure about the different, potentials for the future, where we might not have, access to services like electricity or the internet. So I don't want to, of course, plant seeds or expectations of that, but just to say, like, what should we do if we're no longer able to meet via Zoom, or if we're no longer able to do this on YouTube? And I just thought I would mention this a little bit, but I don't want to destabilize you. But I would say what you would want to do is go into telepathic connection and go into a different state of connection than we have been doing up until this point. So if we end up experiencing that, please continue to connect with me. I'll do my telepathic email blast. I will do my inner teaching. But no, our whole entire world, everything would change radically. But I didn't want to destabilize you by telling you that, because there are some bad negative timelines where you still have the control system, but you lose the capacity to communicate with other people. But then there are positive timelines where you lose the capacity to be on a Zoom with me, but the satellite grid is no longer inhibiting you from true telepathy, and you can finally be truly telepathic. So I hope that also came across in the right way. But the flotsam and jetsam of the lower astral world, like that's supposed to be all cleared out so that you can have a real experience. You can have a real communion and a real mental community in the world of pure light. So now get to the world of perfection. In the world of divine perfection, nothing comes between you and your chakras. And even the putis can be considered these foundational imperfections that we're working to resolve and fight against through flying rainbow lasagna, even before the transhumanist problems. Because what you want to do is have a direct connection between your cellular body and your family of pure light. So even in some of my classes from a couple of years ago that I was re-listening to prepare for today, I was talking about the poignancy of like, you're surrounded by your family of light, but a lot of people right now are feeling very abandoned. And it was bad a couple of years ago, but it's even worse now. So if you're kind of like family of light, like, where are you? What's going on? It doesn't feel very good to be like, here, like, oh, there, dear, like your family of light, they're all around you, like Tinkerbell or something like that. Like you got like the worst demons and the worst Ozempic dead zombie people around you. And then it's like a little bit difficult to feel the family of pure coherent light. Like, yeah, technically they are right there, but you have all of these things that are coming between you that are making it very, very difficult to actually feel the truth of and actually access and connect with your family of pure light. So to me, it's not that fun or satisfying to be like, oh, yes, they're all around you. You just can't feel them right now. Like that feels very, I don't even know what the word is, like very unsatisfying to have to go through the world with that as your basic premise. Because it's like, look at all the bad things that have happened to you and everyone while you've been supposedly surrounded by, sarcastically, the world of pure light. Like, if this is what can happen when you're surrounded by the world of pure light, I'd hate to see what could happen to you under other circumstances. Like, there's a lot of that attitude, and it is very valid. So, um, back to each of your chakras being an actual conscious being, you are efforting and trying to connect with them and trying to sustain them as they are trying to connect with you and to sustain you. They're in trouble too. Please know the chakras, although they are moving faster and they are more evolved than you, it's not like they're immune. Even the sense that the chakras can have something come inside of them, like a putti, a destabilizing emotional residue, or a inhibitor, or something that's an interloper that jumps in there. Even the sense of that is it should help you to comprehend, like, things that are alive or biological have vulnerabilities. So you can't think of it as like, what's wrong with these chakras? How come they're full of pooties? And I thought more of you, chakras. I'm so disappointed in you. And how come you're not more and better? It's like, you can't look at it like that. Like, they're being and doing the best they can do. You're being and doing the best that you can do. And there are some very, very unfair and extraordinary injustices that are happening right now. So the answer to all of this is you have to effort from both directions to be able to come from your physical, biological level of yourself and what you've been cultivating in the biological world, and to connect with yourself that is moving at a faster rate. So now I'm going to hydrate, but now we're going to talk about fun stuff, which is like higher dimensional stuff. Okay. So now you're getting ready for when you meet otherworldly beings. First of all, your chakras are otherworldly beings, but they're not body snatchers. Important stuff, because you're in a world of lots of body snatchers and lots of people that have been possessed and are full of bad stuff. But in a perfect world, the world that I'm describing, your chakras are not other. They're very, very much you. And there's not a way to separate them from you. Like I was telling you, that disturbing children's book with the electrostatic knife. There should never be a way to separate your chakras from you. Your chakras are your thought forms and your time potentials and your abstract momentum of your consciousness, and they are innately a part of your body. So again, part of the horror of the world that we're coming out of, or the transhumanist world, is an attempt to destabilize people's minds, emotion, and energy system using machinery or technology that takes you away from your own natural body patterns, like your natural computational patterns, your natural metabolism, and the natural life patterns that you would experience and go through time. So your chakras are not body snatchers. They are parallel allies, and they have the same motivational goals that you do. You should have the same motivational goals. So you should want to stay alive. You should want to keep your biological architecture not only alive, but in the most healthy form to be able to keep on being alive and keep going forward. So your chakras would not want you to jump off a bridge or dive over a cliff or get smashed on the highway. Like, that would end not only your cellular structure, but the sustenance that comes from your cellular structure, which is called food. If you are not alive, you can't eat anymore. and do stuff and refine consciousness activity in order to be able to feed your chakras. So the whole idea, this is the upshoot of today's class, you're supposed to be in a beautiful reciprocal divine partnership between you, physical self, and you, chakras, in order to keep going through time. And it should be a no-brainer where you're like, yep, we all work for the same company. The company is like Aurora, and I want to keep my body alive, and I want to keep my time presence alive. I want to keep my cognitive consciousness alive. And when you identify with all of these parts of yourself, you have no conflict. And what you want to do is make good choices. And you should receive guidance and introspection from your chakras. This is almost non-existent right now. Like a lot of the transhumanist hardware blocks people out from even receiving those feelings. But those feelings should guide you. And so in finer times, those feelings guide me not only to larger life decisions, something big like moving from upstate New York to California, but also micro decisions. Like when I'm making a painting, when I go to pick a particular color, I'm like, oh, that color feels wrong. I have to choose a different color because I'm guided by my chakras and my abstract self that is telling me as a flesh being, don't be on that timeline where you choose this color that's only mediocre. Be on this timeline where you choose this color that's exactly the right color. Okay. So when you're really in a perfect partnership with your chakras, there's no conflict. You want to do the things that your chakras want you to do because they make everybody live longer and last longer. Let's move that into food. I do not feel conflict about the food that I eat. And I am happy to say, like, I don't have eating disorder. And I would like for you to use me as a template, not use me with like, that's not the right words, but like be inspired by this, encounter a person who does not have these problems, because what I do is I eat by glow. And it means like there's nothing that is forbidden, but there are some things that are not food items. Like they never glow. They are not something that I would ever ingest. Like I've never eaten McDonald's food here in this world at all, because I always knew like that is not food for me. And I would say like that's not food for people from my home planet, but also like that is not food for human beings. But I eat according to what my chakras tell me is the thing I'm supposed to eat in the moment. So there's all sorts of different food nutrients, and they're all good for you, but they're not all equitable, and you don't eat them all in the same moment. Like that's the abstract truth. Sometimes you should eat scrambled eggs. Sometimes you should eat fried chicken. Sometimes you should eat an entire chocolate bar. These are all equitable foods. And it really depends on what nutrients your metabolism needs. What do you need in order to move forward into the future? And what puts you on the most optimum timeline? Your body metabolism and what is happening, take my Path of Light class, at the level of your mitochondrial membranes, where food glucose is turned into ATP, actual energy that makes your body move around and do things. That's a miracle. That's a giant emphasis miracle. And people take it for granted and even look at it like an inconvenience, like, I'm so hungry, I need to eat food, or I'm so fat, I need to do this or that. It's like, no, miracles are happening at the level of your cell-to-cell communication and your membranes, and how much glucose you're accessing in each moment, or how much energy you're able to produce or to access in each moment. So like, how come some people can run 26 miles? I'm telling you that they have energy that is beyond what they should have. I have one friend who runs 100 miles. I've never done this. I would love to be able to run 100 miles. I can run like 3 miles, but that's still a lot for me. So you also have to celebrate what your own body can do. But yeah, this is an online friend who is a super athlete, and she runs 100 miles and it's normal for her. Like that's just the way that she is built. But when she does something like that, it is beyond the amount of calories she has in her body. Although it might be normal for her to eat an entire box of Captain Crunch cereal, because sometimes she needs a lot of carbohydrates to run 100 miles. When she gets to a certain amount of running in the race, she's out. She's out of calories. Like she's used up all of her cash. And what she does is does supernatural or miraculous stuff to be able to keep going. Then at the end of the race, eat a box of cereal. Like it's a miraculous thing to be able to do this. You do something before you have the energy to do it, then you get the energy to do it. just use that as the example. So maybe you're not going to run 100 miles, but maybe you're going to do something that like seems impossible and you don't have the caloric energy to do it yet. You do it anyway using the supernatural energy, and then you get the energy that you need to kind of fill in the gaps. And when we do the dance as a group, when I do my Flying Rainbow Lasagna dance, I'm trying to inspire people to keep going. Sometimes you're in the middle of the dance and you're at this accelerated rate in a higher dimensional realm, and you're like, I'm so hungry, but like you can't stop and get a sandwich. This is not possible. So you have to reach for the inner reserves. And this is like my friend who does the running. Like you reach through your metabolism of your physical body to your light body, to your non-physical body, and you're able to keep going even though you're hungry, tired, and thirsty. So that's, I think, the best analogy that I can bring to you also at this moment in the individual and collective journey. Hungry, tired, thirsty, maybe flagging or losing energy a little bit. Like, how are you going to keep going? Because you're all like, yeah, I know we've had like bad satellites and horrible corporate infrastructure and hydrogels and all sorts of bad things for the past many years, like since the COVID debacle. And now, get ready for the next disaster. I'm sorry that I'm being so blithe about it, but like there's new stuff that you're going to have to deal with. And you're like, I haven't even caught my breath from the previous disaster. Now I have to get into the new disaster. I know. So there's a lot. So you're going to have to effort and reach for energy that you don't physically have yet, but then do the thing and then restore yourself with the energy that you literally are creating by doing the thing. I know that might be like very easy to say, but very difficult to do. But this is what you're going to have to do. Because like ordinarily, sorry, I'm just restarting my little thing here. Ordinarily, it would be like, here's a bunch of light that inspires you. Here's a bunch of food that nourishes you. Here's a bunch of stuff that helps you to keep going. And, instead of feeling those feelings, you've been kind of blockaded and minimally nourished and not had access to everything that you really need to have access to for many years. And now you have to accelerate and keep going. So please know your difficulties are recognized, the difficult position that you're in terms of human economy. It's a better way of saying it. Well, like, let's get into it. I will just rant and just hopefully like this will just seem like the rantings of a crackpot, and I won't have any problems from like the platforms or the algorithms or whatever. But when the pandemic started in 2019 or 2020 or so, that's our planet really being poised on this moment of amazing ascension. And instead of moving forward into these levels of expansiveness and acceleration and where your mind can make anything happen, they turned on this type of frequency inhibitory, sorry if I didn't say that correctly, frequency inhibitory force field that prevented your natural like ability to dream things into reality, but also tried to write a narrative story of like that you were an ordinary person, that instead of you being an extraordinary supernatural being who is exploring miracles, that like you're just Clark Kent, you're not Superman, you're just a regular person, you're gonna get old and get wrinkled and get cancer and die. Like these are like the lies that come from the 5G network. And instead of experiencing the past 5 years of like making miracles, when we talked about manifesting coffee in class like 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, we were all making miracles. I told you about the tiny screws that I manifested one day, and one of our lovely class participants told us about manifesting an entire wheelbarrow spontaneously while doing gardening. These are things that we would have been doing that and even more artistically or whatever, with more grace and more artistry over the past 5 years. We haven't been doing that. Instead, we have experienced a sham of the five senses reality, like the artificial assertion that you're just an ordinary person, but then also the limitation or blockading from you accessing your spiritual powers, like the inhibitory rays that prevent you from being able to access your psychic powers. Antichrist technology blockading you or making it more difficult to embody your capabilities as Christ, which is your crystalline, perfectly clear structure when light flows through you. And so instead of being lifted up by the experiences of the past 5 years that are like, hey, you're a super being, you're ready to manifest paradise, you can do all sorts of cool stuff. You've been experiencing a sham of the past 5 years where evil was rewarded, good was suppressed, miracles didn't happen, and instead, the status quo from before the pandemic was continued in this sham. I keep using that word, but like the stock market and various other subsidies to the economy have been keeping the same story going, but that story cannot go any further. So you now understand that it was a very limited extension of the bad dream of the world that we're coming out of. Instead of allowing us the full consciousness freedom to be able to dream a better dream, we're hobbling along, continuing to work within the delusions that were from not only the previous dream, but they were kind of upheld by this transhumanist AI mental system. And that's like banks, mortgages, manufactured housing projects that no one actually wants to be a part of. Like, you understand, both in the United States and in China, giant construction projects that were done by taking out enormous amounts of debt to build houses that no one actually really wants to live in. The nonsense type of work. A lot of nonsense building, nonsense economy, generation of stuff that no one really needs, just for the appearance of busyness, the business of busyness, to kind of uphold an old reality, okay? So what you see happening right now in the nation states conflict in the Middle East is the end of that bad dream. And you should be like, hooray, I don't like that old dream. It stinks and I want a better dream. Good. But also, there's like a lot of question about what is the new dream going to look like? How long does it take to get here? And also, we haven't been building our dream muscles for the past 5 years. We've been working under my shoulders go down, like the delusion of the illusory and inadequate previous economy. So, because you have to practice. How do you get good at music? You got to practice. How do you get good at manifesting cups of coffee and tiny screws? You have to practice. So it has been very unfair that you've not been given the opportunity to truly extend your wings and truly practice being magical. And you kind of have to get going at it because it really matters right now to be able to do this. Trying to connect with okay, when you get to the exalted viewpoint, and that is what it looks like from beyond the physicality structure, when you're doing it right, it helps you to stay up there to see the causality structures of all the things that you got. That, I'm sorry that I didn't say that correctly, that put you there. Better way of saying it. Okay. You have different levels of consciousness. You have your mundane or three-dimensional or cellular consciousness. Then you have your overarching consciousness. I call that your meta consciousness because meta means overarching, even though I am aware of a bad software company that is called Meta that I am not referring to. It is the exalted viewpoint that ties together all these events, including the various different vectors of your life from different directions in that four vortex that you're doing. The more time that is spent at the higher perspective, witnessing and recognizing and appreciating the interconnectedness of events, it helps you to maintain the stance of love because you're recognizing that it's a non-arbitrary world, a non-arbitrary either universe or cosmos or fabric of space-time reality. And this relates to the divine harmonics and your relationship to the chakras who are thought beings. So thought beings are non-arbitrary. People think that thoughts are just like, think anything, it doesn't matter. But you should start to think of your thoughts as being as precise as your physical anatomy. Like your bone is supposed to be shaped like this, not supposed to be shaped like this. That's a disease if it's in the wrong direction. If your mind or your thoughts are supposed to be shaped in a particular way and they are not, then it means that they are, disarranged or diseased or literally pathological, disease causing. So there is such a thing as thinking correctly. There is such a thing as thoughts being shaped correctly. And when they are not shaped correctly, they are pathogenic and disease causing. So all of this is non-arbitrary and it's not just based in some personal vagaries or personal conveniences. It actually is math. So then we get to the sense of the non-random mathematical structure, like numbers that like stand next to one another in a line. Your own thoughts should similarly be mathematically precise, and they should be in the correct order that continues to bring you forward in reality. So the crystalline personality of who you are crystalline when you are clear and you are translucent and you carry light. So this is emphasis and re-emphasis from many times that I've said this in class. You're made of carbon and many other things too. Carbon has different states of matter. In one of them, carbon molecules are disarranged and not a lot of light passes through. And that's coal, like the least intelligent, least well-arranged form of carbon. In a slightly more arranged form, the flat plates of the carbon atoms are more arranged, and that's graphite. There, I actually have a pencil here. That's this stuff. And that it's kind of slippery because there are these molecules that slide against each other. And it's still opaque, but it's a little bit more organized. And then I don't have a diamond to show you, but again, we will pretend this is my giant diamond and I'm so rich with my, huge gem over here. But when you organize the graphite into the next layer, it becomes crystalline and it goes from something that is opaque, that you cannot send light or information or intelligence through, to something that is translucent. Translucent means it transmits light. When you, in your cellular structure, organize your carbon atoms and your water molecules in just the right way, you become translucent. You transmit light. So that also includes the non-arbitrary arrangement of your thought structures. Bad transhumanist hardware and key point bad software disarranges people so that they are no longer transmitting light. So that's all the bad stuff that I read on Twitter this morning. Like, I'm trying to read the news, not disarrange my light body, but I came out of that just feeling like my hair is all over the place. Like, I'm totally disarranged. Like, oh my God, like my light body looks terrible. Like, I just ingested all this false light. Please know this is a very real problem. It is so challenging to add orderliness and cosmic truthful structure to your physical body when you are being presented with various forms of false light in the environment around you. Try to limit it as much as you possibly can. Like, I don't blame you, clearly. Like, we're all trying to read the news to find out what is happening, but it is the problem that there might be a small amount of actual truth, and then what you're also being exposed to is a lot of disarranging or false light that then dilutes either your physicality presence or makes you less translucent, less of a carrier of real light. Okay. Um, um, when you are connecting to your chakras, basically you are connecting with your body. That is your body of pure light. You have common goals where you want to think the right thoughts, and your body also wants to be structured and wants you to think the right thoughts. And you got it, and you got there. Good. You read the wrong propaganda on the computer. It's not just stuff that is nonsense or a time waster or something that makes you think something in your mind. It fills you with false light. It's the same as taking something that is beautiful and translucent and crystalline like this, and it makes it dark and smeary or smooshy like that. It takes the aspects of you that are in a higher organized principle that transmits intelligence effectively amongst your own system and turns you into something that is more of a obfuscation, an obstacle, a blockade to energy flowing or to information flowing. Okay. So all of your chakras are otherworldly beings. So like you're you in your present ego form, but each one of your chakras or your layers of your time body also is its own individual level of sentience. And like I've told you, you live in a world where there are consciousness ages or eons. So these are different layers of reality that you have been incepted into. And there's an avatar or epitome of each of these layers of reality. So you are right now in the dark blue indigo layer of reality moving towards violet. That means that you, as like your tadpoles of conception, have become ready to be born from the very earliest layers of reality. That would be the red chakra, the primal nature of just being alive, and then transcending that layer to the orange layer, to the yellow layer, to the green layer, to the turquoise layer, to the blue layer. And the blue layer has been from 2000 years ago to this moment now. That's an eon or an age of humanity. And there's the avatar of consciousness. So we know that one very well. That is Jesus Christ, the avatar of the indigo chakra and that age of humanity. You can sing the song, coming into the age of Aquarius, right? That means that we are coming from the dark indigo into the violet chakra. And I've already told you that your violet chakra is synonymous with your DNA and the part of your body that is moving at the fastest or most accelerated rate relative to divinity and relative to time, and still having like a physicality process. So like I said, now we're going to talk about the fun, hyperdimensional stuff, because this is about like meeting otherworldly creatures. So there's been a ton of propaganda about like, what are aliens? What are extraterrestrials? All these different things. I think that most of the humans have been over it. Like I am over it. I'm over it, girl. Dramatically over it. Propagandized with so many different things, groomed for so many different lies that now most people are like, I'm not even hungry. Like I've been given so much fake bacon seasoning. I've been salivating so much for this supposed thing. I'm not even hungry or interested anymore. And I'm glad for that, because the UFO community, for lack of a better word, and the UFO conferences have been very much false light, grooming, taking people away from their connection to their own chakras, very much having people focused on materialism, clank clank metal spaceships, otherworldly creatures or things that are supposedly other than you or other than self is a better way of saying it, and obsessions with technology. And the key things when you are starting to go into genuine rapport or meeting of higher dimensional truth, including your own chakras, is how fast are you moving? So it is not like, what planet are you from? Or where did you park your clank clank metal spaceship? When you encounter what seems like another consciousness or organism, you have to ask it, how fast are you moving? The truth is that you are encountering an aspect of yourself. And this is truthful, whether you are like me or the people in this class, a good person, meaning you have values that are to learn, you're learning, growing, and heading towards organization and greater levels of light, as opposed to devolving, falling apart, moving towards greater levels of ignorance, which is what some organisms are doing. When you guys encounter yourself, you are meeting your mirror image. Like as you accelerate, you are going to start to encounter the aspects of yourself that are moving at a faster rate than your physical presence. And as you move closer to them, it's like kissing yourself in a mirror. You might be like, oh my God, like this thing, what am I gonna meet? Who am I gonna be? What's this gonna feel like? I'm not explaining it well, but you might feel that you are accelerating towards something that is alien or other, when you are really moving towards the reconnection with your own reflection, an aspect of self that you have been artificially separated from. The separation is artificial. It goes back to ancient concurrent Atlantis. In Atlantis, we all were so integrated with our chakras and our multidimensional or accelerated presence that there was never a time apart. There's never going to be a homecoming when you're like, we are smooshing and snuggling the whole entire time. Like, you know that that is you. But for you in this cellular moment, it feels as if you've been separated from or distinct from aspects of yourself that you are going to re-encounter. When you re-encounter them, you might experience them as if they are alien or otherworldly, but you must know that they are aspects of your own self. These are yourself from the future. Your chakras are really your own self from the future, or a better way of saying it, they are your multidimensional time presence. Yes, it is truthful that your multidimensional time presence or yourself in the future has problems, pathologies, viputis. You are here in this moment. Let me grab my sculpture so I can show you flying rainbow lasagna. You are here in this moment to do flying rainbow lasagna to help resolve those pathologies that have been coming between you as your cellular presence and your ability to connect effectively with your non-cellular presence. That is your light body. So what you have to do is figure out how to, you as a physical cellular person, accelerate to light speed or even faster than light speed. And the other aspects of yourself are not like decelerating or slowing down, but they're learning how to reconnect with the cellular presence of who you are now. You who are in this generation right now, you don't have to die. You don't have to so death is the separation of your physicality structure from your faster than light presence. Like some part of you in death accelerates, your consciousness gets faster, your sentience is propelled somehow, but like some part of you, if you die, does not accelerate. Your corpse stays behind. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out. You decompose in your grave. That is a solution that's actually not even, you can tell I'm so tired today, I have to drink more. It's not even an acceptable or celebrated solution to this type of moment of acceleration. It's kind of like the best I can do. Like, I'm going to shrug, like, kid, the best I can do. Like, part of you is going to move on, part of you is not going to move on. Sorry, kid, it's the best I can do. But through Flying Rainbow Lasagna, and I was pointing to this painting, this concept of planetary ascension. In this generation, you do not have to die. And what that means is through the rearrangement of your physicality structure, you can contain more light intelligence and accelerate your flesh so that you accelerate at the same time. So, like, you're pressing the gas in the car and you're going to go forward. And it's not like you're going to leave your cup of coffee behind because you whiz forward so fast. Like, you and your coffee and all parts of you will all accelerate. This is what we're looking at here. So your chakras are not body snatchers. And I've also had to make this very clear. When I first came into this body and I'm walking and talking with people, and I'm in a state of total innocence. And I would tell people about who I am. And sometimes they would like be afraid and back away slowly. They're like, you're some form of body snatcher. I had to watch the movie to find out what this is. And I'm like horrified. I'm like, that is not what I am. No, in no way am I a body snatcher. And in no way are your chakras body snatchers. And this has to be really clearly articulated, especially in the world of demonic possession and transhumanist, industrialized demonic possession. But no, your chakras are very much innate parts of yourself. There's not a way to disconnect them or take them away from yourself. They are by definition an innate part of who you are. And also there's not a way to change the calibration of your physical cellular house so that like a different set of chakras can come into you somehow. That does not happen. So these electrostatic knives and other fantasy propulsion proposals, please do not internalize that as an innate truth. There are protections on your body so that way these things can't be done. it would be very, very wrong to be like, let's build a physical cellular container with these chakras. Then let's take out the chakras, like scooping out the inside of a fruit, but leaving the skin, and then put something else in there. These are monstrosities, and these are false light thoughts that you shouldn't even think. Like, no, you shouldn't even do that. Like scooping out your eyeballs and implanting someone else's eyeballs into your eye sockets. Don't think those thoughts. We should not think those thoughts. So your chakras are not body snatchers. They are an innate part of who you are, and there's no interchangeability with this. Also, it's difficult for you to comprehend because you're in a linear mind state mostly. But these chakras are aspects of your own time body. And if I can show you this, I don't know if it'll like help you to be able to see it, but we'll show you the picture. I'm trying to get a sense of this like going into the distance. And I don't know if you can really see it, but like here, oh no, get the annotation. I get a color. So like this would be the 1 point perspective, and this is your chakras going into the distance. I hope you're getting my shorthand here. When we do 1 point perspective, like we're looking at a flat two-dimensional painting or drawing, but we look into it as if it is depth that goes into the background. When you look at this drawing, I would like for you to look at it as if there's depth in time. And where you're here in the red, you're closer to the moment now. You're in the foreground. And when you're here, you're in the midground. And then when you get all the way up to here, you're, violet and the connection to the infinity point of white light. You're at the background. You're at the furthest point away, quote unquote, from where you are right now. You're at the furthest point away from your physicality structure, which is here in the red. So all of these layers represent an approach to your infinite self. Your cellular structure is the furthest away you are from your infinite self. Your emotions bring you one step closer to your infinite self. Your intellect, one step closer. Your unconditional love, heart, one step closer. Authentic expression, the Christ consciousness, and then your DNA or that violet chakra and the connection to the divine, they all bring you to the infinity point or acceleration point of who you are when all these layers add up together. So your physical body is the aspect of your time body that has been slowed down the most. And I want to say like diluted, the energy has been diluted the most into the physicality structure. We can all agree, like this is stuff. This is a body. We all have bodies, and also we all had to conform to certain parameters just to be able to have a body. And this is also why transhumanism and some of these biomechanical, biohacking things are great insults. And they're beyond entitlements and disrespect of the physicality structure, because you have to do certain things in order to stay alive, like eating, drinking, and pooping. You have to. If you have ever taken care of baby birds, like this is what you have to make sure, like, are they eating, are they drinking, and are they pooping? And you can stay alive. So the transhumanist agenda to somehow negate the need for food by vampiring off of others or getting whatever 5G satellite zaps into your stomach instead of eating food. These are disrespects and not how you truly become a star-faring species. And I joke about this also from previous semesters. People are very connected to like the world of Star Trek, the mentality of the Star Trek series, where they say, well, our job is to explore the universe, to seek out new life, boldly go where no one has gone before, in a clank metal spaceship. These are not the right motivations. These are very self-centered motivations where you're like wanting to randomly go places in a spaceship without considering maybe you're not supposed to go those places. Why are you where you are? Why are you moving at the rate that you are? Why do you think you should be moving at a different rate in a different place? And when you start to meet your own chakras as time presences of yourself from the future, you start to really comprehend that There's a time and a place for everything. Like this is my little aphorism. So you want to meet yourself at the right time. If you like with music, the drums have to kick in at the right time. The guitar has to start at the right time. That's how you make a song. If you don't get these things to integrate, it sounds bad. So even though you might be meeting an aspect of yourself from the future, you have to meet them at the right moment when you are moving at the right rate so that you make good music as opposed to make bad music. And if you're in your ego or your random false light thought patterns that aren't valid, and you're like, I want to go fly to, a random planet today and meet whoever's living there. It's like, that is not the right music for you to have a celebrated and sustained existence. That would be considered the wrong music that does not add to the continued sustenance of consciousness moving forward. So beyond the self-centeredness of like wanting to go to another planet to drain its resources or mine its minerals or whatever, pee and poop on its surface and then leave behind gross, disgusting stuff, which is what humans do. Or even just leaving behind microbes, which is not very good or positive. What you should do is consider, how is my meeting of this aspect of myself that is in a different consciousness and moving at a different time? How does that add to the music of reality, or is it a detraction from the music of reality? And wait, I'm consulting my stuff over here. Okay. I'm still on the same topic, but I'm going to come at it from a different direction. And the direction is the problems at the level of yellow and the destabilization and loss of energy that happens when you go into a verbal state. So, we have problems with the putis that are in the chakras, destabilizing things, but then we also have problems at the level of the orange chakra. I'm sorry, yellow chakra that destabilizes humans through verbalized thought. And this is a human problem. So languaging has not been implanted into dogs and cats and blue whales or, redwood trees in the same way that it was implanted into humans. It was a part of the genetic modification that happened millennia ago, and it is part of what began the schism, taking you away from your light body, or taking your cellular presence away from your non-physical presence. And it is an injury that happened a long time ago, but then it is recreated fractally in each generation with each new person. Every new person who is born and who learns how to think with language and then learns how to speak to other people. These should be wonderful rites of passage where it's like, hooray, like you're eating and drinking and pooping and you can talk too and tell us all about your inner world. But unfortunately, the form of the verbalized mind and the incessant nature, once it gets started, becomes an inhibitor to light flowing through the system. So in your present state, light flows through your chakra system better when you are nonverbal than when you are verbal. In your mind, if you got thoughts happening up there that are like, the cow jumped over the moon, I am hungry, Aurora is wearing a red dress, like that is all friction. It's slowing you down. Now, it's definitely hard for me because I come here, I love my class and I love teaching you and I love mastering words to be able to convey information to you. But I will tell you that it's not the optimum thing for me to do, to be talking all the time or to be using my verbalized presence. It drags me down a little bit. Because I don't want you to think that I'm complaining, like, oh, dramatically, like I'm so dragged down. No, I'm very uplifted by teaching this class and I love to do it. But the activities that energize me the most are the ones where I don't have a voice talking in my head or I'm not making mouth sounds. That's my artwork, right? My music, dance, and other forms of athleticism where I don't have to think. And so those are my primary preferred activities. And talking is way down there on the list. And then writing, it slows me down so much. Oh my goodness, when I have to actually write something down, my brain is moving so fast and my hands are moving so slow. It's really hard for me. And yeah, spelling is very bad, grammar is very poor. I feel like also I'm not making a very good translation from the richness of what I have in my, in my mind or in my thought structures to making it go into words, which is like very clunky, like the cat jumps. It's like it doesn't say everything I'm trying to really say. So please comprehend that about me, but maybe you will also relate because language is inherently draggy or full of friction. And in order to really meet yourself in the higher dimensional state and connect to your chakras and be moving at those faster rates, you have to move beyond verbalized language. So the verbalized mind blocks out the natural light that is attempting to flow into your system. This is why most people get energized when they either do a nonverbal activity or they do some form of like meditation or something like that, or when you go to sleep at night. Guys, what happens when you go to sleep at night? Well, like you lay down horizontally. Okay, what else happens? Like you digest and restore your body. Okay, what else happens? You quiet down your mind. You stop talking. You don't talk and you don't think, and your mind goes quiet. And so, what happens during the time when you go to sleep, when you become unconscious, your yellow level is not destabilizing the rest of your body anymore. It becomes quiet and the energy can flow effectively up and down your whole entire chakra system. And then for most people, as soon as you get up in the morning, that first verbalized thought, like you wake up with lots of energy if you're well. And then that first verbalized thought sends everything out of alignment and the energy starts to siphon off. So think of these as very perfectly balanced, gears or transmission or like water wheels or something like that. And when you wake up in the morning, because your body has done not only its cellular detoxification and clearing out of metabolites, but literally you've come back into your levels of divine alignment, where you are aligned with your brightest futures. You're like on the best timelines. Okay. You wake up in the morning, like, I'm on my best timelines. And then you think your first thought, which is like, sometimes it's like, oh no, like I have stuff to do, or I have to go to work, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. That's like everything goes askew. Everything goes askew. The first thought, the first verbalized thought makes go like this, and that makes everything else go askew. And then there is the mental emotional wobble that happens as the result of that. So, of course, none of this is ideal. What I'm describing to you is the unfortunate truth, and it's not the inevitable, end result. It's very changeable. Some of the things that you can do are to not only quiet your mind, but also to make very intentional selections about which thoughts you're going to think. So when I wake up in the morning, I am intentionally choosing thoughts that keep my momentum going, where I'm like, I can't wait to do blah, blah, blah. And I think those thoughts, and that keeps my momentum high. It might be, I can't wait to have a healthy breakfast and eat blah, blah, blah. Or it might be, I can't wait to get going on my music, or I can't wait to, do a fun walk with my dog or something like that. Like, so it takes willpower and focus to intentionally think the thoughts that either maintain your momentum and keep you moving at these faster rates, or to be quiet inside. The thoughts that drag me down are sometimes thoughts that are about dread. Oh no, I have to do these things that I don't want to do. Or in the past, it was easier for me to control these thoughts and avoid them. They were usually thoughts that were about like judgment or some form of negativity, of like, kind of like scolding other people, like, you're bad, you're wrong, that's not the way that's supposed to be done, and other, forms of inner critique and inner judgment. Again, that 10 or 12 years ago, I did my class. It was a lot easier for me to avoid those types of thoughts. The things that drag me down now are overtly not arising from my own self, but they feel very alien to me, or like they're coming from something external. That's coming from hardware, or that's coming from some transhumanist source. that is not even from me. And so you're in a different level of reality now where there's a lot more injustices. So if you watch my original whiteboards or some of my earlier classes from when I first started doing this class, earlier semesters, I'll talk about the array of thoughts that might be presented to you, like at a buffet, like, do you want to eat these thoughts or eat these thoughts? And of course, you can make good choices if you are given a free will choice where you're like, I don't want to think these thoughts that are about like looking down upon or condescending to or judging someone else. I want to think these thoughts that are nourishing and uplifting and bring me in a good direction. But to me now, most of the thoughts that are not optimum thoughts are forced into my mind. They are not something that naturally arises from me. They feel, like I said, very externally arising or alien, and I think they come mostly from technology. So my previous caveats about being mindful, watching yourself when you get up in the morning and when you move through your day, or not choosing the thoughts that de-energize you and moving with affinity towards the thoughts that energize you or going towards inner silence. Like that's all well and good if something isn't mind controlling you and forcing things into your neurology that wouldn't be there otherwise. So it's a very different landscape that you're in right now. In order to move forward right now, you have to be like not a bad ass, but a good ass. You have to try really, really hard to maintain your energy. And when there are things that, take your energy away from you, you should try to reclaim it. You should try to get your energy back and be restored. It's very, very difficult. Like, I don't have solutions. I am here, like, trying to turn off the allergen that destabilizes people so that you can even begin the process of self-reconstruction. And it's very, very difficult to do that with these, like I said, technological allergens that are in there. So the whole idea with all of this is that if you are in your capacitation, you choose not to make food for lower dimensional beings, which are those beings that are not of pure light and they're not moving at light speed and they can't eat pure light. So they're only interested in the type of emotions or energy that is the slower, friction-based energy. And those can be, the thoughts of judgment, hatred, negativity, all of those things. But that's all like very facile because, you should be able to say like, I don't like this transhumanist stuff, or I don't like this guy that's doing this. Like, that's not going to slow you down from thinking those thoughts. So please know that you're in an unprecedented environment and you're certainly allowed to judge and feel disrespect for or dismay at the things that are slowing you down on life's journey. Okay. Sorry if I'm saying so much. I'm looking at my my notes over here. The best thing to accelerate is flying rainbow lasagna. If you want to know, like, how do I get my energy back or what do I do? Don't even bother like other things, because what I do, like if I'm really not fast enough or feeling like I'm slowing down or going on to non-optimum timelines, the answer is when you are under duress or when things are not going well, you must dance like a flying rainbow lasagna, okay? Because this allows you to jump up and over or beyond whatever cognitive and physical obstacles exist to reconnect to the world of pure light so you can be energized again. You have to mute yourself. Thank you. So flying rainbow lasagna is the way to get to the grocery store, to get to light and light speed, to energize yourself when your energy has been siphoned off, drained off, or frittered away in nonsense thoughts and things that are not thoughts that sustain you. Okay, so you're in a perpetual motion machine, and when you're doing things right, you move forward perpetually. When you think the right thoughts and perform the right activities, you move forward in frictionless bliss. You're like, that sounds good, Aurora. I know it does. In the world that we're in, unfortunately, there are many things that have been reducing your cognitive speed, your metabolic speed, and creating a lot of friction and non-blissful experiences. So what I do when I feel like I'm not in bliss and I'm feeling a lot of friction is I get into my flying rainbow lasagna modality. I put on music that I like and that I enjoy. I accelerate on an inner level, and I call this moving like a bee, like the way that a bee buzzes or gets very fast and accelerated inside. And then I do the 90-degree jump into a higher dimensional reality that I'm not in my cognitive presence. I'm not in my linear presence. I do all sorts of wonderful things there, which I think I'm even more free and expansive than when I'm asleep at night and nonverbal. And then I reconnect to my physicality presence with all of that energy. This is getting the groceries from the world of pure light. And then I use those groceries. I use that in order to build and maintain my body. And I use that momentum in order to propel me through time and propel me towards the edifices and activities that keep me going. So think of yourself in this way, that you have the potential to be a perpetual motion machine for lack of a better word, if you are treated correctly. Like you have enough resources or enough gasoline to get yourself going. And if you do the right things, you can keep going with your momentum. And if you don't do the right things, or if you're subjected to inappropriate frictions and inhibitory forces, then it slows you down and it drags you down. What I'll start to wrap things up on are the concept of other people around you being inhibitory forces. Other people around you, like people who are on Ozempic, it's not just that they are taking a transhumanist substance or that they are emitting 5G frequencies or concepts. It's their worldview, their lack of gratitude or lack of affiliation with the world of graciousness that we would like to experience. And so, as I talk about like the things that slow you down are thoughts where you're like, that guy's doing things wrong. Like, the inner police that's like, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. But it is totally appropriate for you to set boundaries and to say, I don't agree with these people who are doing this thing. So the prescriptions for the past, which were to be less judgmental or spend less time pointing fingers at other people, now what you need to do are literally create and sustain the strongest boundaries that you have, which is to say, you're doing something wrong. I'm doing something different. Like you have, so please know that the recipe changes or what is correct behavior in order to maintain your own momentum going forward changes from moment to moment as you're in this marathon or as you're in this journey. The things that were working before aren't necessarily the things that are going to work for you now. And you'll probably have to continue to switch it up and change it up as you keep going. Okay, good. So if you have any more questions or comments, right now is a good one. I'm going to look also, I think it's because I also had some questions that were from like a previous semester, but I don't think that they're relevant to what we're going to talk about now. So I will open the floor now to questions and comments and continually ask for forgiveness for the times when I'm not articulate in trying to say these things. I think that my mind is a verbal Jenga tower at best. And then oftentimes when I'm here in class, I'm trying to say things and I feel so much the inhibitory technology trying to prevent me from being able to express myself effectively. So I hope that I got things through. Okay. If there's nothing else, no more questions or comments, then I think that I will wrap things up for right now. Thank you so much, Joyce says. Thank you, Professor Aurora. Much gratitude and appreciation, and hugs to Cheeky. I'm literally about to hug Cheeky, and also Cheeky does not like this weather, and she's grumpy and on strike. And so maybe, I don't know if we're going to go anyplace or like do any exercise, but she will get some dog treats. Okay, good. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much. Yes. And continued forgiveness. I don't know if this was my best presentation ever, but thank you so much. And thank you for being excellent students of my class. Thank you, guys.